Everybody, welcome to Bernal Cutlery Toishi time. We're at our San Francisco shop, as you can see, and pardon any sharpening noises, doorbells, phones, all that, things out of our control. But anyhow, wanted to show you our stone lineup. After many years, I think we found a collection that we're really stoked on and fit a lot of the needs that we see coming up a lot. So I'm going to kind of move through it from coarse to fine, and some of our other little tricks that we have in here as well that are new that we've started offering for sale. So start off with coarse stones. Coarse stones are going to be great for rehabbing knives that have the chip, a damaged edge, that need a lot of metal removal. They need to be reshaped. They've gotten chunky, something like that. The Serato-kun ceramic stone 220 is great. It's a little bit messy. You want to make sure that this grit does not get onto any of your other stones. So if you do use it, which you won't need to use it all the time, but I would highly recommend cleaning your area before you bring in your other stones, and not to share the water bath that you use with the other ones. And this might be the only kind of stone that we would be that fussy with, in my opinion. These for single grit stones, a lot of people like combo stones. We have a couple in here, but single grit stones are going to give you the longest life. You can glue these down to a piece of wood that's the same size as the stone and use the whole stone. Barring that, a stone holder is really handy. This is one that we found that we really like. It's a rubber one with springs. The springs aren't so stiff that it's hard to get stones in and out, but they hold things nicely, and the rubber's really grippy too, so these are great. Highly recommend these. We get them in a bunch of different colors. And then about ceramic stones, there's some ceramic stones in the rest of these in our selection here. These are stones that are fired, so basically you have grit, binder, and a ceramic material, and you shape your stone and then you fire it. The binder is burned off, and you have a porous stone, and so oftentimes those are real fast cutting. You never have to worry about over soaking them, because you can leave them in water, provided they don't freeze in that water or get, like moldy or something like that. But otherwise, some more ceramics. This is our house brand, Takarazukushi, and this is a 400 here, a yellow marble, hard yellow marble. We have harder and kind of medium soft. No stones that I would call really, really soft, but there's some that are a little softer than others. With this house brand stones, we typically find that the harder ones leave a little bit of a deeper scratch, and so they cut a little faster than the slightly softer ones, by and large. We'll maybe remove metal a little bit slower and leave a little shallower scratch pattern. They still cut really fast. They're great for removing metal from a huge variety of blades. So real hard wear-resistant steels, they work really well on those. So like real high alloy materials that are real wear-resistant, that seem to kind of skitter on some stones, these have a lot of bite. They work that metal off pretty quickly. This combo here is our 400 and 1000. These are softer. Also, our house brand ceramic stones. These are softer, and we wanted to have two different 400 stones, one hard, one soft. The 400 hard is a really good one for double bevel knives that are real wear resistant. It's a lot faster than this 400, which is a bit softer. That said, this 400 works wide bevel, especially like single bevel knives, really quickly. It's going to kind of get a little better contact in a way. I knew it. There it is. Nobody on the ice cream man this time, though. But tell us what you want from the ice cream man. This is a great one for starting out single bevel. So if you have some reshaping you need to do, remove some chips and stuff like that, you don't want to spend 30 minutes working with 1,000 stone to get that work done. Do it much more efficiently, and your work will be a lot more accurate if you use a coarse stone. So this 400 1000 is great for starting single bevel. This is also a stone that we found to be really super effective with softer, kind of wear-resistant, gummy Western stainless steels. So your bolstered stainless, kind of, they're in every kitchen, it seems. This stone is great for working those. We're going to do another video on how to sharpen bolstered stainless knives, and we also made, jumping ahead here a little bit, we made our own combo strop to work knives that you're going to be finishing with a coarser finish. So sometimes people will finish their Wusthof off at 8,000 or something. While you can get it screaming sharp at that edge, it dies immediately. So from our experience, and there's lots of different ways to sharpen, so none of this should be taken as, you know, a rule. There's just whatever works for you. But from our experience, finishing those kind of stainless steels that fine doesn't really get you that great of a result. It doesn't last all that well. So a stropped, polished, lightly polished 1000 from this combo holds really well for Western stainless steels. Moving up the grade here, we have our hard marble 1000 stone, and this one is really fast. Like this 400 stone, it's great for wear-resistant steels. So if you have, you know, pocket knives especially that have like real high alloy steels that are very wear-resistant, this works those metals really quickly. The benefit to being able to work quickly, aside from saving time, is that you can work a lot more accurately. If you can get your work done in 20 strokes as opposed to 120, then your edge is going to be a lot less rounded off and you'll get longer edge life. So these are also great for those, you know, wear-resistant steels, but they work equally well for carbon steels, easy to sharpen steels. When we compare them to some of the softer ceramic stones, I'm jumping over this one just to talk about the semi-soft yellow Takarazukushi. This one is softer and shallower cutting than our hard yellow marble. So on things that are wear resistant, this is going to work a little slower. But for double bevel knives, or things where we're thinning, double bevel knives with wide bevels, or single bevel knives where you're working on a wide swath of metal, a big wide kiriba, this one is great for prepping, for polishing. It gets a nice hazy finish, but it still works quickly. And then for flattening, obviously the softer stones can be a little easier to flatten than the harder ones. The 1200 blue marble, this is a favorite of mine. This one has a lot of the qualities of both the hard yellow marble and the semi-soft. So it cuts really quickly, but it leaves a little bit of a hazy finish. Not quite as hazy light scratched as this softer one, but it's really fast. It's just as fast as the hard yellow in most applications, but it kind of suits itself to single bevel and thinning on wide bevels a little bit nicer than the harder ones, I feel, in that as you're working, it shapes itself very slightly so that you don't ever get little high corners that will dig little grooves in while you're working a single bevel. A stone that we used to use a lot of, that a lot of people love, the Shaptons. We used to use the Shapton Pros, you know, all the time because they're so fast. However, the one problem that we found with them, with thinning and working single bevels, is that being so hard, they can get little high corners and dig little furrows into knives. So, not to trash talk another, you know, stone. They're, you know, but anyways, really like that. So then the Arashiyama 1000. This is a stone that we really love. This one is a great value, and it's a really versatile stone. It's not a ceramic stone, it's a resin bound stone, so it's grit and binder. And with the grit, there's a man-made grit and a natural grit. We don't know what natural grit it is, but it's, you know, some middle grit, Japanese naturally occurring grit. And a little bit like many natural stones, you get different finishes depending on whether you have what kind of slurry and water and pressure you're working. This one is very tolerant of a wide variety of pressures. Just wet, it seems to cut a little bit shallower than when you have some mud on it. Works a little quicker with mud. With some real wear-resistant steels, this one can kind of slow down, and the ceramic stones are a lot faster. So that would be, you know, maybe a con with it. But for the money, from stone in this price range, it really, really outperforms a lot of other stones, we feel. It's become a real kind of like, go-to stone in our sharpening service here. And it's, great for a single bevel or double bevel. It's just on the real hardware resistant stuff, it's a little bit slow, but you can get a couple different grades of finish off of it depending on what kind of work you're doing. So it's also a really good pre-polishing stone, so it preps you for your polishes. And then these would be our medium and coarse stones, and this one here is kind of a funny stone, kind of falls somewhere in between the two. This is the Jinko Auto or man-made Auto, and it's a synthetic stone in that it's a resin-bound stone, but it has lots of natural grit in it as well as some synthetic grit. But it's a very soft synthetic stone, and it's very, very muddy. This stone, really like a lot of natural stones, you can grade it depending on what kind of water you use, what kind of pressure you use. It is a stone that you would want to soak, unlike a natural stone. And by the way, all of these should be soaked. The ceramics don't take all that long to soak up their water, maybe 15, 20 minutes. This guy needs a good long soak. It can be fussy if it's allowed to dry too quickly, or you never let water get into the core of it. We've seen a couple break that way over the years, but this is a stone that I've been using for like 12, 14 years sharpening. And it is a great stone for doing the kind of intermediate finishes that a lot of Western knives benefit from. It ranges from roughly 2,000 to 4,000, and this is a big guess on the 4,000. It seems like it though, but when you work it just wet, it's like 2,000. Once you get a little bit of mud working up, it starts to become a little finer. Like a natural stone, if you let the surface dry a little bit and you work that mud that you've already been sharpening on, kind of dry, like a leathery, almost dry slurry on the top of the stone, it gets way finer, up into the low polishes. So this stone is a great one too. Just don't let it sit in the sun; it can crack. But you get certainly a lot of stone with this one. The mud that you after you flatten the stone, the mud that you use it, we use on a little rolled up towel for cleaning rust. It makes a really great cleaning mud. So then here we have the Takarazukushi Resin 4,000 stone. So the one house brand stone that's not a ceramic stone. This is a resin bonded 4,000, and it's a really fast 4,000. It's a really super versatile finish. This is a finish that you could use on tons of different Japanese knives. Many will benefit from a finer finish, but many from our experience don't benefit from being over polished. Again, this is our opinions from our experiences, but many knives will cut really well with like an 8,000, like from this Kitayama here, but might feel dull quickly. Whereas this is going to give bite for a long time during its course. So this you can get a little bit longer edge life out of. It works really quickly as well, so you're not having to spend tons of time trying to polish your bevel and rounding it in the course of that. So this one also has become like a real kind of daily use stone in our sharpening service. Everybody loves combo stones. This is our 1,000, 4,000 made with this 4,000 and the hard yellow marble 1,000. And this is one that we chose to have made into a combo after testing lots of different combinations of these. And we found that this one is really great for what many people are sharpening. Japanese knives really benefit from a 4,000 finish. And we found that there were a lot of combo stones that the 1,000 side was being used as a chip remover, a geometry fixer, but just did not have the guts to really get the work done. This stone works really quickly, helping you to keep flat bevels and get those little chips out. That said, if your knife is really damaged, you're going to need something coarser. But this one's become a favorite real quick, and probably is the best seller of all of these. Combo stones, though, you know, they're kind of 2 for 1, but honestly, you don't get as much stone with a combo stone. Not because there's less stone in it, but you can't use the stone down to the base like you can a single grit stone. So if you think you're sharpening a lot, you know, you're gonna, in the long run, save a bit of money by buying individual stones. The Arashiyama 6K, this has been a big favorite of ours for many, many, many years. We used to sell it under the Takenoko name. That's another, you know, kind of OEM thing, whatever. But like the Arashiyama 1000, it's a mix of natural and man-made abrasives. It's also a resin stone. You need to soak it, but gives kind of a little bit of a cloudy, hazy polish, kind of like a natural stone. Also, like a natural stone, it has a bit more bite for its polish. So comparing this to other synthetic 6000 stones, of which there's lots of really good ones, but this, so, you know, not to say this is, you know, necessarily better than all of the 6000s, but what we really like about it is that it's a real nice bitey feeling edge that it creates. For the real fine, oh, and this comes with the Nagara stone. The Nagara stone you would use to raise a little bit of mud before you start sharpening, and then you'd also use it after you flatten your stone to smooth the surface. And that's important with the fine stones, to get a nice smooth surface after you flatten them. The Kitayama is another favorite of ours for an 8000. It's super fast, very bright. For a while there were all these kind of rumors about it actually being 10 or 12,000 grit or whatever because it looks bright, but it's 8,000. But really great finisher for the uras of single bevel knives that need a real fine finish, like Usuba or Yanagi. It may be too fine of a finish for many double bevel knives, but a lot of people really love a real fine finish. One trick that you can do is you can do one side, usually the inside, the part of the blade facing you, a little finer than the outside, and if you want to mess around with that, this is a cool one to do that with. So you could do a 8000 Ura and a Jinko to Omote on the outside. Get both fineness and bite. So there's lots of different combinations of finishes that you can do. So for flattening, you know, all stones need to get flattened. You don't want to wait until the stone is really obviously dished out. That's a lot of work. The less expensive flattener that we have is this ceramic 100 grit flattener. These are real fast. They definitely start out real aggressive and then they hit their stride a little bit slower, a little bit shallower scratching. Sometimes when these are brand new, they can seem a little too aggressive for flattening something like a fine synthetic stone. I would not recommend these for flattening natural stones. For the money, they're great. But our favorite is the Atoma. If you're flattening a lot, these are really fast. This is the 140 stone. And this one takes care of all your really hard stones that are difficult to flatten. You can do naturals with this. Be careful with this 140 on naturals. Unless you have a lot of work to do, I would caution against it because it might be too aggressive. For flattening naturals, or some people like to start slurry with a diamond stone on natural stones. This can be a little controversial, but I'll leave that to y'all. But the 400 diamond. Well, I'll jump into it. I think that it can be a good technique. Some stones natural stones really require a polished face though. And if you overdo it with the diamonds, you'll never get that polished face. So use this sparingly. But this is great for flattening. These are supposed to be sharpening stones as well. But I find that the higher abrasive per square inch, centimeter, whatever, on the synthetic stones kind of cut faster than these diamond stones. Even though it's diamond and it cuts very fast, it cuts really deep and it's a little bit harder to finish out. So for that reason, I'm not a huge fan of sharpening on these diamond stones, but they make really, really great flatteners. So after you're done, wherever you're going to finish, you want to deburr. And the strop that we've really landed on, that's our favorite, are these cork strops. These are not like the cork board that you put notes up on with a thumbtack. This is a rubber bonded cork, and the benefits of this is that you can wash it with soap and water. So if it gets greasy in a kitchen, or you want to change out the compound on it, you can wash it with soap and water, and it'll stay flat. They come apart very slowly with use. Typically it takes us like 3 or 4 years to dust one of these here at the shop, and that's with them getting used heavily daily. So these last a really long time, and they're slightly irregular surface, makes for more friction when you're stropping. If you're used to stropping on leather, these have more grab, so it can feel more frictiony and grabby than a real smooth running leather strop. But they deburr a little quicker, I find, because of their slightly rough surface. This is a 1 micron chromium oxide paste, and thin application of this over the strop will give you roughly 50 stroppings before you need to replace it. This is how we like to set our strops up. Sounds like they're getting back to work fixing up the hallway, so bear with any noise here. So this is how we like to set up our strops. When we use this other vanadium carbide, which is a much coarser compound for deburring, starting to deburr knives that are going to be finished at around 1,000 or 2,000 grit. The chromium oxide isn't quite aggressive enough to remove that burr, so we get the work started with this black vanadium carbide. This roughs up the burr from the coarser stone, and then you can finish it off and remove it all with the chromium oxide 1 micron. So this is our combo strop that we got to use, that we made for use in a kit with this guy here with the 400-1000 combo. We mark our strops chrome only, or not, because we have big strops with this on it, and we don't like to mix the two. So if you have one of these combo strops, you're going to be doing Western stainless knives, I would kind of recommend having another separate strop where you're not going to get the bigger vanadium carbide grits onto this one, that you might want to be stropping something from like an 8,000 stone or 6,000 stone. That can scratch up your edge. We'll be doing more videos on technique, and we have some different kits that we've set up with some selections, combinations of these we feel go well together for different types of sharpening. But as always, if you have any questions, hit us up. And thanks for making it all the way through all those stones, if you actually did. All right, bye y'all.